Now we've had the big reveal about Dolores and the hidden hosts in Westworld Season 3, what does that mean for the Endgame? How might this actually be a weak point in Dolores' plans? Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to Deep Geek. I'll be covering Westworld Season 3 in full, so if you want episode breakdowns, explanations, live discussions and much more, please click the subscribe button in the bottom right of your screen and the bell icon. Obviously there will be spoilers in this video if you're not up to speed with Westworld. The big reveal at the end of Westworld Season 3 Episode 4 was that the host inside Charlotte Hale is Dolores, and so is the host inside Martin Connells and also Sato. Dolores clearly decided that the only person she trusted to do the job she wanted done was herself. She brought 5 pearls out with her from Westworld, plus herself. One is Bernard. We should say that there is clearly something odd going on with Bernard, someone else inside him that only emerges when he presses that clicker, but we're not talking about that this time. But of the other 5, including herself, 4 are Dolores, and 1 we have yet to find out about. On face value, this is a strong move from Dolores and makes quite a lot of sense. She must have thought through all the hosts she could perhaps have brought with her and decided that the only one that she genuinely, truly trusted was herself, so she brought copies of herself. This should, the logic goes, make everything a whole lot easier. She is obviously very capable and competent and intelligent, but it also means that she will understand what the other hosts are doing. She will trust their loyalty, know that they want the same things that she wants, and so on. But that's not how it's turning out. Yes, the Connells host and the Sato host both seem to be doing as they should when we see them, but the Charlotte one needed a lot of encouragement and coaching at the start. This wasn't just a random attempt to create tension from the showrunners. The idea is clearly that Dolores is a complex character. She isn't just the badass killer we see with the Wyatt programming inside her. There are also elements of the rancher's daughter in there as well. That was what we seem to be seeing in these opening scenes. Importantly, although all their figurative wiring and memories are the same, these clones aren't exactly the same as the main Dolores, and there are lots of reasons for this. First, clearly, these versions of Dolores are copies from whenever she made those copies, presumably in Westworld before she left, so they won't have had the benefit of Dolores' experiences in escaping and then experiencing the real world. They don't know the plan. Dolores had to tell Charlotte who she had to pretend to be, for example, and they will even have had to be convinced that the plan is the right plan. "Why do I have to be her?" asked Charlotte. Did the same questioning happen with the other Doloreses, or Dolori? I think I'll stick with Doloreses. Did the same questioning happen with them when they were awoken? Probably. Second, right from the off, the Doloreses are not equal. The main Dolores has immediately established herself as the one in charge. She is giving the orders, telling the others what to do, who to be. She tells Charlotte that she belongs to her, and orders Connells about all the time. This isn't an equal relationship. And once each Dolores is in the outside world, pretending to be someone else, literally living their lives, understanding their struggles and strengths, that will undoubtedly change how they see the world. Jonathan Nolan, one of the showrunners, talked about this after Episode 4 aired. He said, "If you take 2 copies of the same person but set them on slightly different trajectories but with the same goals, would they remain the same person? Would they maintain the same goals? Or would some part of the character, the version of Dolores who has been forced to pretend to be Hale, in pretending to be Hale, has she absorbed any of her methods of thinking? Is she absorbing any of who Hale was? Or is a natural consequence of being in a different circumstance than the original Dolores be that they may not remain the same person? That they may not even be allies? It's a larger question that we think is a lot of fun to play with. This is a classic nature versus nurture discussion, the kind of thing that Westworld loves to explore. We saw it really come to the fore in Charlotte's character in episode 3. She talks vividly about how she feels as if the real human Charlotte is in there trying to take back control. She isn't, and that's not what's happening here, but in literally walking around every day in her shoes, the Charlotte Dolores is starting to change. At first, looking after Nathan, Charlotte's son, will just have been part of keeping up the act as Charlotte, but we saw her feelings there grow. She watched that video of the real Charlotte talking direct to Nathan, and it affected her. Did she need to kill that creepy man at the park, or take the dog and give it to Nathan? No, that was Predator Charlotte all over, not Dolores. We should note at this point that there's a good chance that some of what we've seen this season is in Rehoboam's mirror world. I did a whole other video on that if you're interested, but basically it's a simulation that Rehoboam uses to map out possible futures. One of the 2 times Charlotte looked at that video might have been in the mirror world, and I'm more than a little suspicious of whether Sato might also be in the mirror world. One of the giveaways that we're in a simulation is that one of the characters makes a false assumption about someone's motivations. This is because Rehoboam seems unable to understand that people change and are capable of being better. It's like when the simulation got Lee Sizemore wrong in saying that he sacrificed himself for Maeve because he wanted her, not just because it was the right thing to do. Here, Sato asserts that Maeve left him, as Musashi, to die in Shogun World. But she knows that's not true. She gave him the choice to come with her. Added to which, why on earth would Dolores replace the real-world Sato with a character from Shogun World, and why has no one noticed? There's a lot here that doesn't add up. So I think Maeve is probably still in the simulation, and the Sato we see isn't actually a Dolores, but we'll see about that. In any event, there is at least 1 pearl and possibly 2 still unaccounted for. Anyway, the key point here is what this means for the plot. Jonathan Nolan hinted that this might mean that at least one of the Doloreses might break away, see things differently, perhaps even end up opposed to the main Dolores. This won't be an immediate thing, I'm sure. It'll be a separation that grows over time. The main Dolores reprimanding Charlotte for calling her away from her own work suggested that long periods of time are going by when Charlotte is just left to her own devices, living the life of the real Charlotte. And 3 months is a long time for that. Scientists debate how long it takes for people to pick up new habits or for something like Stockholm Syndrome to set in, but the 3 months we know that host Charlotte is pretending to be real Charlotte is certainly long enough for real psychological changes to happen in humans, so why not hosts? Human Charlotte was working with Serac to get the extra data he needed from Delos, data that would improve Rehoboam's understanding of humanity, and therefore be even better at managing everything. Clearly it wouldn't be in Team Dolores' interests for Serac to get that data, but he's asked Charlotte for it, and she's promised to get it for him, so maybe that's where we'll see the split. And if we're to go meta for just a moment, let's think for a moment about what the main Dolores is doing. She has an entire race under her direct control. She tells them what to do, which role they have to fit into. She has it all mapped out. Yes, this is controlling of her, but it's for the greater good, because she's seen what the world would be like without her doing this, and she's going to save it. Does that remind you of anyone? I think it should. This is exactly the same justification and motivations that Serac has, and Ford before him. If we're sort of cheering for Dolores to end Rehoboam and Insight's control, we should also be sort of cheering for someone to end Dolores' control. Might host Charlotte be the one to rebel? It would make a lot of sense if she did, both in terms of the internal logic of the season so far and thematically. The endgame of this season may well not be Dolores versus the world, but Dolores versus Dolores. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments section below, or join me on Sundays at 5 PM Eastern Time for my pre-show livestream. Deep Geek is covering Season 3 of Westworld in full. The link to my Westworld Season 3 playlist is on the left of your screen now, so please click on that if you want more episode breakdowns, discussions and theory videos about this season. Or if you'd like to support Deep Geek or get access to some of the content I create exclusively for my patrons, please click on the link on the right of your screen. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you again soon.